Well, good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery. If I could just get my phone to quit giving me all these notifications, they keep popping up, and I can't. There, just had to get that out of the way. Anyway, my friends, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. How are you this morning? On kind of a chilly morning, I wore shorts this morning, and it's kind of chilly. Responding to some texts here. Good morning, Davina. How are you? Always a pleasure. Good morning, Craig, my friend, my brother. Look what I got, Craig. Thank you for that. My favorite mug. It's a great water mug. It's a great Crystal Light mug. It's a great coffee mug. It's not a bad Maker's Mark mug. Kevin, good morning. Hey, Rachel, how are you? How's the family? Beautiful family you have there. But I think you probably know that. Anyway, David, didn't see you sneak in there. Good morning. How are you? Don't want to leave anybody out. I got to be honest, kind of dragging here a little bit this morning. Didn't sleep real well last night. Tuesday night is not a good night for me not to sleep well. Wednesday is kind of a busy day for me. Eric, good morning. Appreciate you being along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic. Tonight on Wednesday Night Live, Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, will be joining me. It'll be your chance to ask her questions. That's a very popular segment when we have her on. Very popular show when we have her on. She's got a lot to talk about. It'll be your chance to ask her questions. Glad to hear, Rachel. Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer. Just a reminder, my friends, this is the time to apply for a Michigan Bear and Elk Tag. Johnny Bowler is my go-to bear hunting guy. And just an all-around good guy, good friend of mine as well. Johnny, I'm glad that our paths crossed here a couple of years ago, and I appreciate your friendship. Hey, Mike, good morning. How are you? How's life in your world over there on the west side of the state? Davina says she just saw Amy Trotter. Amy's she's just a nice woman, isn't she? Very hardworking woman. Jason, my Trinity brother, good morning. How are you? Hey, Skeeter from Brenton USA, BrentonUSA.com. Skeeter, thanks for joining us. Gene, good morning. How are you? Hey, Cliff, I wondered if you were going to sneak in here, if you're going to leave us hanging here, Cliff. Oh, so what's going on? The weather. The weather roller coaster continues, right? I've been talking about the weather roller coaster all spring long. Up and down and hot and cold, hot and cold. Yesterday, I was doing some yard work, and it was warm, like muggy. I went in the house, came out, and it dropped 20 degrees. Nice. Nice. My God is good. God is good. Every day, all the time. Camp had a lot of downed trees to clean up this year. Davina, was it from storms coming through, or was it old trees that didn't get thinned out and just died? I went by a woodlot here where I live. Well, in town, it's the property of a corporate headquarters, and I was really kind of dismayed to see how they had let the woods around the headquarters fall apart. The trees down. They should have thinned it out earlier. Good morning, Tim. How are you? Chad's rubbing it in. Fished the bay 3 times last week. It lit up 18 to 19 feet of water. Bandits, number 7 and number 9, flicker minnow, speed 1.4 to 2. Thanks, Chad. Thank you, Chad. Matt, your lovely wife Rachel's on here as well. Good morning, Ruben. How are things in Colorado? Jay, haven't heard from you in a while. How are you? Appreciate you joining us on this edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Jerry, good morning. How are you? Getting ready to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I'll tell you who's coming up on the show shortly. But I want to talk about a couple of things. Where do I start? Still no Angler Quest for me. I was talking to Brad. I'm starting to get nervous. I'll be honest with you. I'm supposed to do a charity river cruise next week, and then I got a bunch of fishing trips to do, and then I'm supposed to go to Ontario for a bear hunt first week in June. I actually might not go to Ontario. I got a lot of things going on, and I might not be able to go to Ontario, which would break my heart, but it would ease my schedule tremendously. Fresh, not so many trees, mostly limbs. Oh, good. So I was thinking about the weather, this up and down weather. Rick is still out there chasing birds. I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain. You know, I had to put in a lot of time to get my bird, but it was worth it, right? You just got to be patient. Good morning, Jerry. How are things in Algonac? Oh, Mike, I was so concerned about that. Walleye for Warriors, June 10th, 11th at Linwood Beach Marina. When I heard that you said you applied right away and you didn't get a response or didn't get a confirmation, I thought, because Walleye for Warriors runs a real tight ship. So I will see you there, Mike. I'm not fishing in the event because I thought I was going to be in Ontario on a bear hunt, but I will be there Sunday to MC the event, Mike, and I will look forward to seeing you. Andrew, how are you, buddy? Lakers are hitting up here. They got a world record. I saw that, Ruben. I saw that world record Laker. I didn't realize it was from Colorado, but I saw that picture. Crazy. Hi, good morning, Jay. Checking in on YouTube from upstate New York. Chad's got a bear hunt last week in June in Quebec. Mike, Driftwood Outfitters, hoping to get my dad's first. Oh, Chad, I'm telling you. You've been bear hunting before, though, right, Chad? It is it's addicting. It's addicting. Bear hunting is addicting. Randall, good morning. Schedule. Andrew says schedule. I'll talk about a schedule. School activities and coaching are killing me. What do you coach, Andrew? I didn't realize you were a coach. No fishing for a bit. Hey, Randy, how you doing, buddy? Appreciate you joining us on this edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Not just pinconning, Gene. Nick Grillo. And if some of you know where Nick lives, others don't, but I'm not going to tell you where Nick lives, but Nick has a bear on a trail camera behind his house, and he's way south of Pinconning. Oh, Johnny, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Johnny. Middle school track, like herding cats. I've used that term myself a little bit lately. Look at this, Davina. Davina is a great friend of the show. Davina Paul is now a United States citizen. She was sworn in Monday. God bless you, Davina. That is wonderful. I am so proud of you and so happy for you. And the fact that you did that, that's wonderful. Congratulations. David, good morning. How are you doing? Hey, Vance, planting corn like crazy. Last night, a bear next to the garage in my headlights when I got home at midnight. You got home at midnight? You are working some hours. Joe says, congrats, Davina. I think all of us say congrats, Davina. Very nice. I'm now a U.S. citizen and registered to vote. John checking in from the hometown of Apex Marine, the middle of the mitten as closely as can be geographically determined. That would be St. Louis, Michigan. I'm about ready to drive to St. Louis and find the first 8526 Pro Troll and hook onto it and bring it home. Getting a little nervous. I just should have taken last fall when the boat was done. I just should have hooked onto it and taken it then. But I was done fishing for the year, and in my overzealousness, I said, can I just have a couple of tweaks made to that boat? And those couple of tweaks have slowed things down. Hello, Art. How are you? Jim, good morning, Mike. Birthday today. Headed to South Haven to get ready for the tournament this weekend. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you. Rick, what's the issue? Just minor things. A couple of minor things. It was good to go. It was ready to rock. And me being picky said, can you just tweak a couple of things for me? Well, I think what happened is they said yes, but I think it screwed everything up. I think it screwed their production schedule up. So they had to work the boat back into the line. And I think that's what the problem is. I mean, she'll be beautiful. She'll be ready to rock when I get her. But I'm getting antsy, getting nervous. Got to get my hands on her. Philip, good morning from the UP, a little hazy from the Canadian wildfires. Philip, that's interesting. I admit I've been living under a rock the last week or so. I haven't watched the news at all, but I did notice that 2 nights ago, the sunset was magnificent. Didn't realize there was some Canadian wildfires. Brian, how are things in Cedar? My old stomping ground. Although I've lived, the town that I grew up in, Cedar Springs in northern Kent County, I lived there about 17 years. So the rest of my life has been over on this side of the state. John says there is one sitting there with a 300 horse Merc on it, same one that was there last fall, on a trailer ready to go. I swear that's mine. I feel like that's mine, honestly. And I did tell those guys, look it. Remember those changes I asked for? Remember those upgrades I asked for? Don't worry about them now. I'll just take the boat. Yes, Jerry figured me out. All right, Jerry, I wasn't going to admit this. What I asked for was a Cedar Line cigar humidor. Edgar, always full of great advice. Morning, Tim. How are you? Steve says, yeah, the sun in the UP has been crazy this early from the fires. I saw the sunset 2 nights ago and was like, there are already fires. That's the night I saw it 2 nights ago, but I didn't realize there were fires. And unlike you, Steve, I wasn't smart enough to go, oh, there's wildfires somewhere. Hey, good morning, Dave. Always a pleasure to have you along with this big guy. How's life? How are you doing? Cliff says, I just dropped off my boat at the shop to get the carbs cleaned, 4 to 6 weeks to get it back. You're going to be in worse shape than I am, Cliff. Anyway, I want to go back to Chad Bailey, who is heading up for a bear hunt the end of June. Bear hunting is, I've told you before, my big 3 are walleye fishing, turkey hunting, and bear hunting. I got my turkey. I thought I was going to go to Ontario on a bear hunt here in a couple of weeks. I may or may not go. And the walleye fishing is, I just can't wait to get out there. Can't wait. Because as Chad says, I'm missing a really good bite. And it's not so much for recreational fishing, fun fishing. I overbooked myself with a lot of charity trips this summer, and I need to get those in. Balmy weather. Dave, where have you been? It's cold out there this morning. Hey, Corey, it was good to see you the other day. How are you? Balmy weather. It's 44 degrees right now. I'm assuming that's a joke, Dave. I walked out of the house this morning wearing shorts, and I'm like, whoa, that was a mistake, but it was too late then. Oh, nice, Chad. Chad says, might try to get a bear hunt with your bear recurve, but the main goal is to get your dad his first deer. That's going to be a wonderful trip. I have shot a bear with my recurve. It was not a bear recurve. It was a predator recurve back when they made those. But it was the most rewarding bear hunt I've ever done. So good luck on that, Chad. That very cool. And bear hunting over bait is made for recurve. Johnny says, looks like a deer hunt with me this year. I don't know, Johnny. This year's getting really screwed up. Good morning, Bruce. Dave's inside today. Good morning, Tommy. How are you? Craig, big northeast winds the last few days would have made the fishing a little rough. Yeah. I don't know that, Steven. It's still up in the air. I've had some my schedule is getting absolutely out of control. Some of it things that I have control over and other things that I don't have control over. And it just might work out better if I don't go. Better for me, for my mental, believe it or not, might be better for my mental health if I don't go on a bear hunt just so I can get everything else done. It will break my heart. If I go on the bear hunt this year, I will not be picky at all because and this sounds bad. I will want to get up there and get back as quickly as I can. So if a respectable bear walks in front of me the first night and if I go and a respectable bear walks in front of me the first night, I'll shoot it. I won't wait for a blaze. I won't wait for a color bear. I won't wait for a big bear. Just a respectable bear, I'll shoot it. And speaking of color bears, you'll hear people say color phase bears. All the time, people say color phase bears. Nah, it's not my daughter. It's much more than that. All right, Johnny, have a good day. When did the NRC change the handgun hunting rules? I don't know, Ed. In my opinion, and I'm not a biologist, the phrase color phase bear is inaccurate, and I don't use it. To me, color phase bear means that bear is going through a phase. It means it's going to change from one phase to another. Bears don't change from black to cinnamon to chocolate to blonde. That's the way they are. So it's not a color phase. It's the color of the black bear. You could have a cinnamon colored black bear. You could have a blonde colored black bear, but it's not going to change from cinnamon to blonde. So it's not really a phase. No, this is the one I'm talking about, John. I may not go up. Hey, good morning, Eric. How are you? I look forward to talking with you in a few minutes here on the radio show. Eric brings up a good point. I should say who's on the show this week. And that's why I'm here in the studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. On the show this week, Chad Stewart of the DNR takes up much of the first hour, talking about the proposed deer hunting changes, the regulation changes, and talking about fawns as well. Then in hour number 2, Eric Long of Longline Charters, who is on here right now, talking about springtime fishing on the southeast part of the state. Also talks about becoming a charter captain. Not so much the process of, because I can explain that pretty well because I've gone through it, but the mindset and what it takes mentally to be a charter captain. It's a lot of work. Then Nick Green of MUCC, plus this week's Ask Avery segment. And I have no idea what this week's Ask Avery segment is going to be yet. And in our third hour, it's Al Stewart, not the guy who sang Year of the Cat. Al Stewart, retired DNR wildlife biologist and now current director of the Nimrod Society at Hillsdale College. Al's going to talk about late season turkey hunting. He's going to talk about Hillsdale and the Nimrod Society and how they are so pro hunting, so pro shooting, so pro outdoors. I have much respect for Hillsdale and the way they are handling their support of hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. By the way, Dave and I will be at the Sanford American Legion Post Saturday evening for a Salute to Veterans event. Hey, Charlie, how are you? Good. Did you get the new reader spot?
I did.
Wow. I am dealing with true professionals here. Hey, good morning, Johnny. How you doing, buddy? Uncle Johnny. Uncle Johnny. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite peeps, Uncle Johnny. Ed says he used to hunt with a 38 special, now 44 mag or larger. Davina says, are the deer hunting changes good or bad? Depends on who you talk to, Davina. Hey, Jim, good morning. How are you? Edgar says, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah. Some people call it hump day. If I had more energy, I would call it hump day, but I don't. I'm dragging this morning. Didn't sleep very well last night at all. And Tuesday night is not a good night for me not to sleep. My granddaughter Addison says, Grandpa, you only work on Wednesdays. Thanks for that, Addison. Appreciate you. What else is on my hey, Dave, I'm working. Remember 2 situations you and I have talked about, Dave. And let's hope I don't get another text from you today like the one I got last week. The one situation at our mutual place of worship is moving along, maybe in a positive direction. The other situation involving a boat is still up in the air, but I am doing my best. I can promise you that. Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? Eliminating the bait ban? Yeah, you do know that. Kevin says, I wouldn't be able to sleep either if I didn't have a boat. Dave says, excellent and ugh. Not ugh yet. Excellent and And excellent might be too strong of a word. It might be cautiously optimistic and That's the way I'll characterize him. Hey, Beverly, good morning. Davina says, yeah, probably a no on eliminating the bait ban. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen in my lifetime, I'll tell you that. Unless something drastic changes. And I don't see that happening. Tim, how much does it cost to attend Saturday's event? I have no idea, Tim, and I apologize. I honestly don't know. Grandkids are always right, except when they're wrong. I don't know, Tim. 1 minute, Charlie says. I don't know, Tim. It's not an expensive event. It's not like our Trinity event that was very expensive, but worth every penny of it. What else in the 45 seconds? Oh, tonight at 7 o'clock. Of course, I will do another edition of Wednesday Night Live. And Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, will join me. I encourage you to join us. You can talk to Amy. You can ask Amy questions directly. You won't have to go through me. It won't be like an Ask Avery segment. It'll be an Ask Amy segment. And you can do the asking. That's tonight at 7 o'clock on most of my social media outlets for Wednesday Night Live. Does the DNR have a list posted of what they're taking? I believe they do, John. Sorry. Up. A 1 minute reprieve. Well, that would be good, Tim. If you do, please make sure to say hi to me. Dixie Dave is cooking. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Maybe I'm there just because I'm pretty. Maybe it's because I'm pretty and I have such a wonderful personality. No, that would be a big no on both accounts. I'm not sure why I am there, but I'm happy to be there. Hunting license down 32%, dropped 800,000 out of 600,000. You as well, Dave. Good morning, Bob. How are you? Bob, you joined us just in time for me to say, I've got to jump over. There's your list right there, Justin. Thank you. Oh, Justin from MUC. Do I hear something, Charlie? Oh, Justin, who just happens to be with MUCC. I was talking about Amy Trotter joining me tonight for Wednesday Night Live. Well, Justin posted a link right there. 3, 2, 1, blast off. There's a blast off. That's the real deal there. All right, here. I started a clock and I covered my comments. It's my mouth. Yeah, you know what, Mark? You nailed that. Where is it? It's not my looks and it's not my personality because I'm ugly and I have a terrible personality, but I can talk. All right, Johnny, have fun. Johnny, I'm so sore today. We, we talked about expanding the patio. Oh my gosh. lifting those big patio blocks yesterday. I'm too old for that. So are you. All right, my friends, have a good day. Join me tonight, 7 o'clock, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us. How are you? How are you this weekend? If you're listening to the broadcast version of the show, how are you this weekend? If you're listening to the podcast, hey, I hope you have a good week. And I say that because obviously the broadcast version goes out over the airwaves on the weekend. But I wait until Sunday evening to post or to upload the podcast version of the show because I want to protect my broadcast stations. I want them to get the content of the show first. And people talk about, oh, the podcast has dropped. Really? How do you drop a podcast? I upload podcasts. I've never dropped one. So I don't drop podcasts. I upload podcasts. And the podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show gets uploaded on Sunday evenings. But I digress. What is the one thing, for those of us who love the outdoors, the one thing that is a constant source of conversation and complaint throughout the year? I don't care what season it is. No, I'm not talking about the DNR. I'm talking about the weather. The weather's never perfect. It's either too hot or it's too cold or too much rain or too much wind. You know, I've been talking about a weather roller coaster now the entire spring. Temps have been up and down and up and down. And right now, I walked out the door this morning, it was 42 degrees. I thought, well, it was 75 yesterday. Didn't even think to look at what the weather was going to be. Put on a pair of shorts, walked out the door, and went, ooh, that might have been a mistake. Good thing I'm in the studio today and not going to spend much time outdoors. If I can't be outdoors, I think right here in the radio studio, the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, is the next best place for me. I love this. It's a blessing. It's an honor to be able to talk to a statewide audience for 3 hours every week, talking about something that I love so much: the history and tradition of hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. Sometimes conservation issues, sometimes wildlife issues, sometimes political issues only as they apply to hunting or fishing, and also some wild game cooking. But going back to the weather, I was thinking about this too. And, I said, well, I should have checked the weather. Meaning what? How would I check the weather? Well, I would more than likely reach for my phone, or maybe even look at the watch on my wrist to get a weather forecast. How crazy is that? That society, resort to that? I remember when my grandpa wanted to know what the weather was going to be like. He would check it the evening before. He'd look at the sunset. He'd look at the wind. He'd stand out on the porch. He would feel the conditions. He'd say, okay, I think I got a pretty good idea what's going to happen tomorrow morning. The next morning, he would walk out there on the porch, maybe head out to the barn, on the walk out to the barn, go, yep. And he could tell you exactly what it was going to do that day. Of course, he was a farmer, very much in tune with Mother Nature. It's amazing to me how dependent we, mostly I, am on technology these days. In everything I do. In my job is very much dependent on technology. But now my outdoor passions, hunting and fishing, are also heavily dependent in some ways on technology. Now, they don't have to be. That's the good thing about hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. You can make it as simple as you want it to be, or as high tech as you want it to be. Meaning, if you want to take a cane pole, remember those cane poles? If you want to take a 14-foot John boat with oars and a cane pole and a bobber and some live bait and toss it up into the shallows, you can catch bluegills. And it doesn't get much more basic, much more simple, much more pure than that. And it's a riot. Or you can jump on a 26-foot angler quest with a 300 horse outboard, loaded up with all the electronics you could ever ask for, down scan, side scan, and go out and troll Lake Michigan or Saginaw Bay and catch fish and still have fun. What about hunting? Hunting's the same way. Like me, I'm primarily a bow hunter. The best bow hunts I've ever had were using a recurve bow. It doesn't get any more basic or simple than that. No technology, no rangefinder, no sights, no nothing. Just look at your target, draw the bow, let the arrow go, and see where it goes. If you've been shooting a lot, it flies where you want it to fly. And it's wonderful. I mean, it's beautiful. But because I wasn't shooting as much as I knew I had to be proficient and confident the last couple of years, I've gone the other direction. I'm shooting a high-tech crossbow with lighted arrows and a scope that'll, tell you where to aim, 10, 20, 30, 40. It'll go out to 100 yards. I would never shoot a critter at 100 yards. I can hit a target at 100 yards, but I wouldn't shoot an animal at 100 yards. But this technology today, this forward, I haven't used it yet, but this forward-looking sonar, I don't know how applicable it would be in a trolling situation, but if you were fishing bass or fishing panfish or something, you can point your transducer, your sonar, to the front. You can cast a jig out there. You can watch your jig fall down through the water and see how the fish react to it. Man, that's pretty high-tech stuff. Does it make you a better fisherman? Probably makes you more effective, more efficient. But does it make you a better angler? I don't think so. Does a crossbow make a bow hunter a better hunter? I don't think so. It's easier to be proficient. Yes, I will certainly admit to that. But technology is not necessarily a bad thing. I do think we, primarily I'm talking to myself right now, have to make it a point, though, to not rely on it too much. Today's fishing boats, honestly, they don't even come with a compass anymore. Now, for us old school people who learned to navigate and learned to find the port that we went out of using a compass, that makes me nervous. Well, Avery, I've got my GPS and I got it on my phone and everything else. Right, I know. You've got backup after backup after backup. But what happens if everything goes down and it's foggy? You're going to sure wish you had that old-fashioned compass. I can't believe they don't put compasses on boats anymore. It drives me crazy. And it's not just boats. What about the vehicles we drive today? That Chevy Silverado ZR2 from Garber that I have, that thing is a high-tech piece of sophisticated coolness. But you couldn't fix it yourself. Most people couldn't. Does that make it bad? No. I think anything we can use to better enjoy our outdoor experiences, I'm all for it. As long as it's legal, and the things I've talked about are certainly legal. The morality and ethics are up to the individual. I'm certainly not going to try to mandate or dictate to a fellow outdoorsman or women how they should enjoy their outdoor experience. You work hard all week long. You get a chance to get outdoors, enjoy it the way you want to. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I would hope nobody else would either. So what else is going on? Walleye and pike season open in New Yoop. Now I've seen some real nice pictures of some beautiful walleye coming out of the Upper Peninsula. A reminder, this is the time to apply for your Michigan bear and elk tags. You know, my big three, my favorite: turkey hunting, walleye fishing, and bear hunting. Got my turkey. I'm supposed to go on a bear hunt in Ontario in 2 weeks. Maybe 2.5 weeks. 2 weeks from the time you're hearing this. I don't know if it's going to happen now. I would like to, and it is my goal, but it just might not work out. Hey, if it doesn't, it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'll just have to spend more time walleye fishing. as soon as I get the Angler Quest. If you want to reach out to me, I would love to hear from you. My email address is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. My website, mikeaveryoutdoors.com. I would encourage you to check that out as well. From there, you can get to all of my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Who uses Twitter? Only the politicians and the national news people use Twitter. Nobody else cares about it. I don't know anybody who actually uses Twitter. Do you? No. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show after the break, Chad Stewart of the Michigan DNR talking about proposed changes for deer hunting in Michigan this fall. Also, we're seeing some fawns out there. We'll talk about that as well. In hour number 2, Eric Long of Longline Charters talks about fishing in Southeast Detroit and what it takes to be a charter captain. Nick Green of MUCC checks in, then this week's Ask Avery segment. And in hour 3, Al Stewart, not the guy who sang Year of the Cat, but Al Stewart, retired DNR wildlife biologist, talks about turkey hunting the late season. He'll talk about Hillsdale College, the Nimrod Society, and more. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. That's coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. All right, my friends, you've seen the first segment of the show. Have a good day. Hopefully, 10 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Amy Trotter of MUCC will join me. Hope to see you then. Have a good day.